You see, most people think men become obsessed with a woman because of her beauty, status, or achievements. And sure, initial attraction often starts there. But if you really want to understand what makes a man truly obsessed with you, it's not your physical appearance or your accomplishments. It's how you make him feel about himself in your presence. That's the shocking truth most people miss. Men don't become obsessed with your resume. They become obsessed with the feelings they associate with you when a man is around you. He's not mentally checking off boxes like she's successful or she's beautiful. He's asking himself deeper questions like, do I feel respected when I'm with her? Or do I feel like my best self around her? Or do I feel alive and energized in her company? He's registering emotional states, not logical assessments. When a man feels truly seen, understood, and valued in your presence, that's when obsession begins to fall. Most women don't realize the power they have here. They're too focused on being impressive or perfect, but the truth is, you don't need to impress him with achievements. You need to create an emotional experience that he can't find anywhere else. That's where obsession takes root. Think about it. We become obsessed with what creates powerful emotions. We're drawn to people who make us feel important, valued, and understood. If you make a man feel like he's significant, like his presence matters deeply to you, that triggers something in him that goes beyond rational thought. It's not about inflating his ego or being submissive. It's about genuine appreciation for who he uniquely is. When he feels like his masculine energy is recognized and respected. When he feels like a protector, a provider, someone who matters in your world, not because you need him, but because you choose him. That creates the foundation for obsession. Most people don't know how to create this kind of connection. They either shower men with excessive praise, hoping to win approval, laughing at everything he says, agreeing with everything, trying to be the perfect match, or they play too hard to get, being overly cold or unavailable, thinking mystery alone will capture attention. But the real sweet spot is showing genuine admiration when he demonstrates qualities you value. That's what creates a lasting imprint. That's what makes him come back again and again. Let's go even deeper. Men are so used to being judged or measured against impossible standards. They live in a world where everyone has an opinion, especially in dating. So many men feel like they're constantly being measured against some moving target. But when a man finds someone who creates a space where he feels encouraged rather than evaluated, where he doesn't have to perform, but where he wants to because he feels respected and admired, that's a game changer. That's when obsession starts to form, because now it's not just about being with you, it's about how he experiences himself when he's with you. This is why creating obsession isn't about manipulation or games. It's about authentic connection with unpredictable positive reinforcement. The deepest attachments are not built on constant validation. They're built on meaningful moments of genuine connection interspersed with healthy independence. When you become the mirror that reflects back the best parts of him, not in a superficial way, but in a way that says, I see your potential, I see your power, and when you show up fully, I notice that. That's the feeling that stays with him. That's the feeling that makes him check his phone to see if you texted. That's the feeling that makes him drive an extra hour just to see you for 10 minutes. Because the truth is, men become obsessed with what makes them feel alive, not what's convenient, not what's easy, not what's right in front of them all the time. They become obsessed with what makes them feel like the best version of themselves. So many women tell me, I don't understand. He says I'm amazing, but he's not obsessed with me. He's not pursuing me the way I want. And the answer is almost always the same. He knows you're amazing, but he doesn't feel amazing around you. That's the gap. The goal isn't to be the most impressive woman he's ever met. It's to be the woman who creates an emotional experience he can't stop thinking about. And that starts with the little things. It's the way you remember details about his interests that others would miss. It's the light in your eyes when he talks about something he's proud of. It's how you challenge him intellectually while making him feel accepted emotionally. It's your ability to challenge him without emasculating him. It's the playfulness in your voice when you tease him. All of these things speak directly to his deepest needs for both connection and freedom. Now, the real secret is this. It has to be authentic. You can't fake genuine interest or manufactured admiration. That's why your standards matter. That's why you must only show appreciation for qualities you genuinely value, not just to create an effect. When you admire genuine effort and not just potential, he feels it. And that admiration becomes addictive. Think about the last time you felt completely energized in someone's presence. That's what you want to become for him. Not the prize he wins, but the feeling he keeps chasing. You know, people always say be mysterious as if it's about playing hard to get or being emotionally unavailable. But let me tell you something that most people get completely wrong. Creating obsession isn't about being distant. It's about psychological contrast. That's the shocking truth most don't realize. Real mystery, the kind that makes men obsessed with you, isn't a tactic, it's a lifestyle. It's not about pretending to be busy. It's about actually having a rich, fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around him. It's not about disappearing or being emotionally disconnected. It's about being multidimensional. That's what really pulls someone in. It's not the games, it's the layers. It's when someone can't figure you out in one sitting, in one date, or even after a few weeks. It's when you're not giving everything away right at the beginning because there's just too much to give. That's where the intrigue is born. Imagine this. He meets you, he's drawn to your energy, but then he discovers that you have passions, interests, and commitments that have nothing to do with him. Maybe it's your love of salsa dancing, or that you're starting your own business, or that you volunteer at an animal shelter, or that you're deeply philosophical about life, yet absolutely obsessed with true crime podcasts. These aren't things you have to blurt out on date one. What makes a man stay interested is the slow reveal, the sense that there's more to learn, more to uncover. We live in a world where people present everything up front. Social media has made people think that putting your entire life on display is normal, but there's no seduction in overexposure. There's no charm in predictability. When you maintain some healthy separation between your life and his, when you continue to develop as a person outside of the relationship, he notices, he feels it. When you show up with a sense of depth, when you're pursuing your goals, when your time is genuinely occupied by meaningful things, when your life is vibrant without needing anyone else to complete it, he feels it. It's not about trying to seem interesting, it's about being interesting. There's a difference. Trying feels performative. Being is natural. It happens when you stop living your life, waiting for a relationship, and start living your life as if you already have one with yourself. Let me tell you something most people overlook. High standards don't push quality men away. They actually create obsession in them. The right boundaries don't push people away. They pull the right ones in. Most people get it wrong. They think having boundaries means putting up walls, but walls block love. Boundaries invite the right kind of love. There's a difference between being cold and being clear. Coldness keeps people guessing. Clarity keeps people engaged. When a man knows what's acceptable to you and what's not, without you having to scream it, beg for it, or chase after it, he either steps up or steps out. And trust me, either result is a win. Imagine this for a second. You're dating someone who accepts everything you do, no matter how little effort you put in. You want more communication, but you're afraid to say anything because you don't want to come off as needy. So you wait, you stay quiet, you overthink, and in doing so, you teach him something dangerous, that your silence is his green light, that he can show up however he wants and you'll still be there. That's not love. That's a slow erosion of self-worth. Now picture the same situation with a woman who knows her value. She notices the inconsistency. She doesn't panic. She doesn't chase. She just calmly says, hey, I've noticed you've been distant lately. I'm looking for someone who's consistent and emotionally available. If that's not where you're at, I understand, but that's what I need. Boom. No drama, no begging, just truth. That's the woman a man becomes obsessed with. That's the woman he can't stop thinking about. Let's be honest, people don't obsess over what comes easily. If a man doesn't have to invest emotionally, mentally, and consistently to maintain your interest, he won't develop that deep attachment. Your standards create the necessary investment that leads to obsession. If you require nothing, he'll give nothing. A man will only rise to the level of effort he believes he needs to give in order to keep your attention. Having high standards isn't about controlling him, it's about honoring yourself. When you set expectations, you're telling the world, this is how I value myself, this is what I deserve. And that kind of self-worth is magnetically attractive. A man who's serious about you, who sees your value, he loves a woman with standards. He admires it, it challenges him, it tells him he's dealing with someone who doesn't settle. And that makes him step into his best self. Being constantly available kills obsession. And I don't mean just physically available. I mean emotionally and mentally, giving him 100% of your focus whenever he wants it. When your entire world revolves around one man, you instantly lose the very thing that could make him obsessed with you, your value. Attraction is born from a sense of pursuit, and pursuit only happens when there's some space for a man to move into. If he knows that no matter how he shows up, no matter how little effort he puts in, you'll respond, you'll be there, you'll prioritize him over everything else, there's no mystery, there's no tension, and without those, there's no obsession. Men don't become obsessed because they're constantly reassured they have you. They become obsessed when they start fearing they might not. That's the subtle line that shifts everything. Have you ever noticed how people tend to fixate on what feels just out of reach? We're wired to obsess over what we can't fully possess. When your attention is always available, it's not treasured. When your time is always given, it's not valued. When your presence becomes predictable, it's not exciting. Now, I'm not saying you should go cold or distant or ghost him to prove a point. That's not the game we're playing here. This isn't about punishment or pulling away to manipulate. This is about genuinely having a life that doesn't pause just because a man enters the frame. It's about showing that you have your own direction, your own flow, your own purpose. It means that when he texts you, you don't have to reply immediately if you're in the middle of something meaningful. It means you don't drop your plans every time he suddenly becomes available. You don't rearrange your entire day just because he throws you a last-minute invite. Why? Because your life has structure, and that structure tells him, I don't wait around for breadcrumbs. If you want my time, plan for it, respect it. The biggest misconception is that being super available makes you look caring, loyal, and devoted. And while those are amazing qualities in the right stage of a relationship, when they're given too early, before he's earned them, they make you look easy to please. And if a man doesn't feel like he had to work for your time, he won't value it. Men need a sense of achievement. That's how they are wired. They don't just want something handed to them. They want to feel like they earned it. Let me tell you something that most people overlook when it comes to creating obsession: emotional polarity. It sounds simple, right? Maybe even too basic to matter. But here's the truth. Men become obsessed with women who create a full spectrum of emotional experiences. We're in this era where everyone's trying to be perfect and agreeable, but perfection doesn't create obsession. Contrast does. When you're always pleasant, always agreeable, always the same, you become predictable. Playfulness isn't just some cute personality trait. It's power. It's chemistry. It's the secret sauce that makes a man lean in when he thought he was about to lean out. We're in this era where everyone's trying to be so serious, so fast. First date and people are already diving into their 5-year plans, emotional baggage, and deep philosophical questions. Look, I get it. We all want depth. We all want connection. But here's the problem. If you skip the spark, the fun, the dance, you skip the very thing that makes someone want to get to that depth with you. Playfulness is the bridge between intrigue and intimacy. It's the oxygen that keeps the fire alive. If you come into a situation too intense, too focused on where this is going, it creates pressure. And pressure kills romance. It turns a potential connection into an interview. I'm not saying don't have standards. Have them. Be proud of them. But don't weaponize seriousness in the name of self-worth. That's not high value. That's high tension. They become obsessed with what feels good, what feels easy to be around, what feels like freedom, not friction. When you're playful, you disarm. You let your walls down just enough to show that life around you is fun, light, unpredictable in the best way. That's intoxicating. That makes a man want to come back, not because he has to, but because he's drawn to that energy. It's the way you respond with a smirk instead of a lecture. It's the way you tease him when he tries to act too cool. It's the way you laugh at your own jokes or challenge him to a silly bet. You know what that does to a man? It brings out his boyish energy. And you want that. You want the part of him that forgets he's trying to impress you and instead just enjoys you. Because that's when the walls come down. That's when he's not strategizing how to act. He's just showing up fully because he loves how he feels when he's around you. Most people think obsession is built on deep conversations. And yes, those matter. But chemistry is built in the light moments, in the sideways glances, in the moments where you're not trying to be profound, you're just being. If you can create that dynamic, especially early on, you're doing something most people can't. You're creating a feeling. You want to know something that will absolutely transform the way men respond to you? Emotional self-control. I'm not talking about being cold or emotionless. I'm talking about that grounded confidence that comes from knowing your worth isn't tied to his responses. That kind of energy is incredibly rare. When a man senses it, he doesn't just notice you, he remembers you. He thinks about you when you're not around. He compares you to every other woman he meets. Most people are walking around emotionally reactive, letting a man's behavior control their emotions. They're reactive, he doesn't text back, panic. He pulls away a little, you start chasing. He says something off, you spiral. That's not attractive, not because it's wrong to care, but because when your emotional ability hinges on his every move, you give away your power. And with it, your allure. Here's the truth. The moment you become emotionally reactive, you give a man all the leverage. He knows he can affect you, that your world shifts with his presence or absence, and on a subconscious level, he starts to feel like you need him more than you choose him. That changes everything. Obsession dies the second someone feels obligated to carry the weight of your emotion. But imagine this, you're in a conversation and he says something a little triggering. Maybe he brings up an ex or he flakes on plans. Instead of blowing up, sulking, or over-explaining how it made you feel, you stay centered. You smile. You say, that's okay. And then you gracefully excuse yourself or pivot the energy, not passive-aggressively, just calmly, with grace, with certainty. That moment right there plants something in his mind. She's not like the others. Because most people would crumble, but you didn't. And it's not because you're suppressing your feelings. It's because you manage them. You don't let external chaos dictate your internal peace. You've trained yourself to be calm under pressure. That's the kind of woman who's unforgettable. That's the kind of woman men become obsessed with, because she becomes a challenge, not in a toxic, manipulative way, but in the most intriguing way. You're no longer chasing validation from him. He's now wondering how to earn yours. And let me take it even further. Emotional control means not negotiating with red flags. You don't justify bad behavior just because you feel a connection. You don't get swept up in someone's potential while ignoring their patterns. You see things for what they are and you act accordingly. When you operate from that mindset, your actions become aligned with your self-worth, not your temporary emotion. And here's the wild part. Men respect what they can't shake. When they can't throw you off your center, they start seeing you differently. You're not someone they can toy with, breadcrumb, or half invest in. You're someone they have to show up for, someone they can't afford to lose. You create emotional contrast. He realizes, when I'm with her, I feel calm. I feel challenged, but in the best way. I feel like I have to rise to her level. That's what makes you magnetic. Not the dress, not the flirtation, not even the chemistry. It's your stability in a world full of volatility. Men become obsessed with a woman who has options but doesn't flaunt them, who feels deeply but doesn't fall apart, who holds space for love but never at the cost of her peace. Have you ever met someone who, no matter what happens, just moves through life with grace? You can feel it. Their presence is solid. You don't feel chaos. You don't feel pressure. You just feel peace. That's who you become when you master emotional control. You become the person who makes everyone else feel safer just by being around you. That kind of energy is addictive to a man because deep down, every man is craving a woman who doesn't make him feel like he has to walk on eggshells, a woman who doesn't spiral when things don't go her way, a woman who can express what she wants without demanding or pleading, just expressing it and letting go. The most fascinating thing about male obsession is that it operates on a subconscious level. He's not sitting there thinking, I'm becoming obsessed with her. Instead, he's finding himself checking his phone more often, rearranging plans to see you, and thinking about you during random moments of his day. That's how you know it's working, when his behavior shifts without him even realizing why. When a man becomes obsessed with you, he's not just thinking about your physical appearance. He's replaying moments where you made him feel truly alive. He's remembering how your eyes lit up when he shared something vulnerable, how you challenged him without undermining his confidence, how you stood your ground when something mattered to you. Every time a man thinks about you, he's strengthening neural pathways in his brain. That's why creating memorable emotional experiences is so powerful. They literally change his mental landscape. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Men are naturally drawn to what requires pursuit. When everything is handed to them, there's no challenge, no conquest, no victory. But when they have to earn your attention, when they have to prove themselves worthy of your time, that's when primitive obsession triggers activate. A man becomes obsessed when he feels he's earning something valuable, not when he's being smothered with attention. It's the difference between hunting and being fed. One creates excitement, anticipation, and fixation. The other creates complacency. What's really powerful about creating this kind of obsession is that it's sustainable long term. Unlike techniques based on jealousy or mind games, inspiring a man through authentic connection and emotional contrast doesn't fade over time. It actually deepens. The more he experiences this emotional roller coaster of feeling valued yet needing to earn your continued interest, the stronger his attachment becomes. When you're developing this kind of magnetic pull, remember, it's not about being difficult or creating artificial obstacles. Men can sense manipulation from miles away. What creates genuine obsession is authenticity paired with healthy boundaries. It's about being warm, engaging, and present when you're together, while still maintaining your own orbit when you're apart. I've seen countless women transform their dating lives simply by shifting from seeking approval to providing meaningful experiences. Instead of asking, does he like me? They start asking, do I genuinely enjoy his company? This subtle shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're evaluating him rather than auditioning for him. And that reversal of energy is intoxicating to quality men. The most powerful form of obsession develops when a man realizes you see something in him that others don't. Not his status, not his achievements, but his potential, his character, his true self behind the social mask. When you reflect back to him a version of himself he aspires to be, he becomes addicted to that reflection. This isn't about inflating his ego or overlooking his flaws. It's about having the emotional intelligence to recognize his strengths when he demonstrates them and the courage to address his shortcomings without diminishing his sense of self. It's a delicate balance few women master, which is precisely why it creates such powerful obsession when they do. When a man meets a woman who doesn't need him for validation but chooses to share her world with him anyway, it creates a powerful cognitive dissonance. He can't put her in a simple category. She's not clingy, but she's affectionate. She's not cold, but she has boundaries. She's not playing games, but she's not an open book either. This complexity is what keeps him thinking about her, analyzing her, wanting to understand her more deeply. That's why even in long-term relationships, maintaining some emotional independence is crucial. It creates the space for continued pursuit, continued earning, continued obsession. A relationship shouldn't be about two people merging into one. It should be about two whole people choosing each other every day. I've worked with thousands of women over the years, and the ones who create lasting obsession aren't necessarily the most physically beautiful or accomplished. They're the ones who understand male psychology at its core, the need to feel respected, the desire for challenge, and the craving for a woman who brings both softness and strength to the table. Remember, men value what they earn, protect what they invest in, and become obsessed with what makes them feel exceptional. Not exceptional in a superficial way, but in the sense that they've found someone who truly sees them, challenges them, appreciates them in ways that feel both unprecedented and irreplaceable. That's the shocking truth. Men don't become obsessed with you because you're perfect. It's that you create an emotional experience they can't find elsewhere. Be the one who knows her value, creates meaningful contrast, and offers authentic appreciation. That's what makes 95% of men obsessed with you, not because they're trying to possess you, but because they never want to lose the way they feel when they're with you. That's the ultimate formula for creating obsession. Being genuinely interested rather than trying to be interesting, having standards that inspire growth rather than conditions that demand perfection, and creating moments of intense connection followed by healthy space for those moments to be processed and craved again. Master this balance and you won't just have men chasing you, you'll have them thinking about you when you're not even there, comparing every other woman to you and doing everything in their power to keep you in their lives. So don't be afraid to draw that line. Don't be afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't meet your needs, because the most powerful move you can make in love is knowing that you'll never have to beg for what you deserve. When you've built a relationship on mutual respect, emotional consistency, and authentic connection, that's when the magic happens. That's when love isn't confusing. That's when he doesn't just become obsessed with you, he chooses you again and again every single day. So if you want 95% of men to become genuinely obsessed with you, stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to be what you think he wants. Instead, focus on becoming so fulfilled in your own life that your presence becomes a gift rather than a need. Care deeply, but attach loosely. Challenge respectfully, but support wholeheartedly. And most importantly, remember that true obsession isn't about capturing someone. It's about inspiring them to want to capture you again and again every single day.